Who is your daddy? I am your father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?
All right, well, here we are, episode 40 of Fathers of the Grind. Thank you guys for tuning in yet again. Can't believe we made it to 40 episodes. This is kind of crazy.
Pretty crazy.
My name is Tim Nestor. I'm here with Derek Teague, who's figuring out a few technical difficulties. He'll tell you about that maybe in a minute because he did upgrade his screen recently. So whatever, rich man. Congratulations. Yeah. And we also have with us a special guest for episode 40, our good buddy Nate Bacon. Nate, how's it going, man?
Really good. Thank you for having me.
Sure, man. Thanks for joining us. We wanted to talk about a few things I know that Nate's excited about, in particular Mafia 3, but also just include a third voice on the show. Usually it's just Derek and I saying the same crap over and over again, and so it's good to have another perspective joining in here. So yeah, before we get too deep into it, we'll let Derek iron out whatever issues he's got there. I think he's almost ready. But Nate, we're going to go ahead and we'll get you guys a little introduction to Nate here. So Nate, tell us just a quick intro about yourself. You married, you have kids, what type of work you do. Just give us the quick rundown on the bacon.
I'm married to Erica, that I love very much, and then we have 3 boys, Colin, Eli, and Brennan, and I do IT work at a law firm.
Nice. Now, does your son Eli, is he also very free with the body, or is that just the Eli Teague?
No, I'm training him, but to live up to that epicness someday.
Good. I know I've developed a little bit of a reputation of censoring. I don't know how, but somehow. And so I'm ready and willing to put the black bar and audio censoring up as needed if your son comes in naked. So.
Well, I appreciate that. There are some sensitive people out there. The rest of us just love it. So.
Yeah, totally. All right, so tell me, in terms of gaming, what consoles do you currently own right now? What consoles do you own?
I wish I owned more. It's embarrassing, but I have an Xbox One and a 360. And my 2 of my sons have an Xbox 360. The other one has an Xbox One. I have tried to got them to try other things, like Nintendo and stuff, but like they just like Xbox for some reason. I don't know. And believe me, it's not my influence. I'm totally cool with anything. So
my kids are like that too. Even though I buy all the consoles. Mm-hmm. I told some people in our Fathers of the Grind group, I was like, I think I'm raising Xbox because I'll tell them, I'll be like, hey, I got this game on the PS4. I know you like, and they'll be like, no, I won't play it.
That's so weird. So weird. Kids are weird. Like when I rented a Wii, because around here, when I grew up, you could rent everything. Okay, but things are different nowadays. And the places that you can rent stuff, they did have a Wii, not a Wii U yet, but. So I rented it for him when our 360 was getting repaired at one time, and I wanted to try out Mario because I thought it'd be really cool because they were pretty young at the time, and they picked up the 360 controllers to play the Wii, and I'm just looking at them like, what are you doing? That's just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
That's awesome. Now, is your 360 still plugged in? You said you have a 1 and a 360. Do you still use it?
I would. That was the plan. But the more the one is backwards compatible and the more great games that come out and I get behind, I really haven't that much.
Yeah.
But it's also the fact that like they depend on it so much, my 2 youngest, that like if there's breaks, okay, they use it for all their TV needs on top of video game needs. So like it's a huge emergency. So it's a backup plus my own thing. So
yeah, that makes sense. And for us, at least, we've got all the controllers. So that's where if you want to play 4-player Castle Crashers or whatever
Very true.
Game is,
yeah,
I don't have 4 1 controllers yet. So.
We can't have enough 1 or 360 controllers. And that would go for Wii or PlayStation if we had it. We'd have to have a shitload.
And I promise this is not for bragging, but if you get another controller, I'm telling you, get this. This thing feels amazing. It's the best.
Have you guys ever seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Totally.
Yes.
Because in that Cameron, his friend talks about his dad having this Ferrari, okay, and about how he never drives it, he just rubs it with a diaper. That would probably... I have an Elite controller, okay, that I got used from a friend. That Gears one, No, that Gears one, if it's regular, I would probably rub with a freaking diaper, okay?
It's good. It's got like the nice like grips on the back and...
Hold it up
gorgeous.
Nice and close to the camera. I want to see it. Hold it up nice and close.
All right, so
it's pretty, dude.
There we go.
And
This
this
is so
is
pretty.
This right here is all etched in, so it's not like painted in. You can feel the ridges. And the best part, I'm going to tell you, the best part is this. Because I have the Halo 5 controller, and the D-pad is terrible. On that one, D-pad's boom.
Nice.
So.
You're giving me a hard on right now. You realize?
Dude, that is a sweet controller.
I love Gears so much.
Yeah. Now, do you have the system? I want to see that too, because we want to just see how crazy Nate goes when he sees that too. Can you hold that up?
Give me 1 second.
No, you don't have to go get it. You don't have to go get it. It's all right. It's all right.
Well, you saw I posted about how my brother this butthole.
Nate had it. Nate's seen it up close and personal. I don't know. Did he unbox it in front of you, or did you just hand over the box?
I did hand over the box. I was really tempted to unwrap it and rub it on myself.
Look at Tim. He's like just hitting the censor button over and over.
That's awesome. Actually, it's not too different from what Derek did with his Uncharted PS4 a few weeks back, where he was just like rubbing it on his face.
I did kiss Nathan Drake's crotch.
I've barely played the Uncharted games, only 2 at a friend's house a long time ago, and I would still rub that on my nipple. I would. Because Naughty Dog is very, very good.
They are. But I can't wait to talk about another franchise that's really, really good.
I can't wait to hear about
it. We'll get there. All right. Yeah. So, Nate, let me ask you this. What is, if you had to answer off the top of your head, and if you're like me, it might change from day to day, but what right now is your favorite game of all time?
All right. If I had to pick now, and this is really hard, okay, because it's like picking children for me, not for everybody maybe, but like there's so many games that I love so much. Like, it is really hard. If I have to pick right now, it's Skyrim. Okay. But that could change within the day.
So what console did you play Skyrim on? I'm going to guess you played it on the...
It was a 360. Yeah. Obviously. Right. But that gave me... And I'm not going to go into a long story, but that gave me frustration, okay? That's how much that game... And I'm going to try to make this quick, but like Oblivion, okay? I had a lot of fun with the old Bethesda games, okay? Bethesda Game Studio specifically. Like Oblivion and Fallout 3, okay? But they weren't my favorite studio. Like, I just did them and everything, but like, if you looked at like the water and the sun and the trees, it was beautiful, okay, for Oblivion. But when you looked at everything else, like the people and the lighting and everything, it was super ugly. And I just was like, it's an open world, virtual world, so it's okay. And the Fallout 3 looked even worse, in my opinion. But it's okay because they had so much they had to do and everything. So then Skyrim came along, and for me, it might not be for everybody, but it looked beautiful. And the loading screens, they showed the textures, and I didn't think anything could look that good for an open world game. So it just blew them up. And that's when they became my favorite studio. Whether they'll stay that way, I don't know. But I love Todd Howard, and I love what he did. But the competition's fierce nowadays. So it's not like Skyrim is way over here. It's really close with a lot of games because I love them so much.
Skyrim is a pretty game, and I think even if you play it, especially play on the PC and you get all the mods that really upgrade the visuals, it looks incredible.
Yeah, my brother actually, he plays console, but he plays a lot of PC, and he's done that and showed it to me, and I was like, whoa.
It looks like a different game. It looks like a remaster when you download
it's pretty crazy. He loves the PC stuff.
I booted it up on and I don't have like a top-of-the-line PC. It's more online with it's a little bit better than an Xbox One and probably in line with a PS4.
Right.
And I booted up Skyrim on it, and it was like basically playing Skyrim remastered. It was gorgeous.
Oh, yeah, I believe it. Gorgeous. You can do so much with PCs,
Yep.
All right, so let's talk about this generation then. What's your favorite game so far this year? It has to have released in 2016. I know maybe
who's going
like
first?
Me. You.
This is all for you. Nobody cares about me in this show. It's all about Nate Bacon.
Yeah.
This is already going to like completely unvalidate everything I'm ever going to say about this game because I haven't played enough of it. I've played a very short amount, but it's definitely Mafia 3. I'm like in love with that game. I want to propose to it. So yeah, for this generation, it's definitely that for me. And I love a lot of games, and that's not saying that other games are all crap, but there's a lot of biases, though, because it's not just all the stuff that if you were going to look at it unbiasedly for like a magazine or something like that, there's certain things that I can say are good or bad, and I can admit that. But I love the 20th century. I love revenge stories. I love really good dialogue. I love being a badass. So it's got all those things, you know. It's not just the basics.
Well, we're going to talk a lot about Mafia 3 in a little bit because I got some questions for you about, did you watch Godfather? Did you play the other Mafia games? But we'll get to that in a little bit.
And if you guys ever need to cut me short, that's cool. I'm trying to not be, but yeah.
Derek will just cough into the mic when it's time to.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Or I'll just tell you to shut up.
That's fine.
But hey, Tim, before we segue, did you want to talk about Michigan for the first 30 minutes?
Yeah, please. Let's cover Michigan and Penn State's.
I'm not a big sports fan. That didn't bother me as much as everybody else, but that's okay.
Yeah, they jumped on us, so now that's our thing. We got to do the Colin and Greg and make fun of everybody jumping on us for that.
Hey, I listened to P.S. I Love You recently, by the way, and Greg took a call from his dad, which I thought was actually kind of awesome during that show. There's something about that was he just took a call from his dad, and Colin just waited, and they didn't edit out any of it. It was just okay, Dad, sounds good. All right, keep me updated. All right.
Wow.
Sounds good.
I I haven't watched any of those, but I always loved Greg. I did. He cracks me up.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too. So Derek, since I just asked Nate a bunch of questions, how are you feeling right now?
Pretty good. I mean, we went to our first soccer tournament of this year for Ian. And it only took an hour and a half of being out in the Florida sun. And this is, again, during hurricane weather. And my face is fried. I'm burning. I'm tired. I'm angry because of the sun. So, yeah, that hurricane hit me real hard.
Wait, so the weather's already recovered and nice?
All right, so Friday, there were, again, guys, we're recording on a Saturday night. So Friday, I actually had already scheduled the day off work for a couple of okay games that came out. And so I scheduled it off, and then I found out that my kids got off school, and then my wife texted me, and she's like, oh, I'm not going to work either, because Friday is when Hurricane Matthew was hitting the East Coast. Now we're on the West Coast. And it did do some serious damage. I mean, we're not going to give a weather report on the podcast, but it was a pretty darn powerful hurricane. And I expected at least to get storms, maybe even some tornadoes coming out of the weather, maybe hitting our side of the Florida. Nothing, man. Friday, it barely rained. I even told the kids, if you guys want to go out, we can go out. I mean, this is a free day. And then Saturday, I was lying because I was just going to play Gears of War all day. But and then Saturday, it was just sunny and gorgeous, I guess. I didn't try to stay out there too long, but
nice.
But yeah,
nice.
So
That's
pretty good. Pretty good.
That's good.
Ian scored a goal. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, did he win? Did his team win?
Yeah, they played last night, their first game in the tournament, and lost 2-1. And then this is the first time I'm talking about soccer for Ian for the season. He's been moved to center D, so he only plays defense. They never move him up. And the only chances he gets to score is if we are getting a corner kick. And so his coach specifically tells him, go up there, because he knows he can play good offense. And the first corner we took, they struck the ball across the entire net, past everybody. Ian tracked it down, and I was yelling from the sideline. I'm like, you got space, relax. So he just turned around, juked one kid, and then struck it from about 18 yards away and hit the top right corner when he was on the left side. I know it's my son, but it was a gorgeous goal. I even told him, because I'm usually really harsh on him, and I was like, I give you 9.8 for that goal. That was pretty sweet.
Oh, yeah.
It was pretty sweet. I was actually impressed because I thought he was going to pass the ball, and he shot it. He was pretty far out, but yeah. So now, they won.
How does
9-1.
I mean, how does it feel? I mean, this might be kind of too close to home, so let me know if this is too much for you. But how does it feel to know that your son's better at sports than you ever were?
That's false. He'll never be as great as I am. But he is lucky to have a father and a mother. The mom's worse than the father, who are hardcore into sports. I didn't have that, and so he's getting the opportunity, him and Eli, to really excel, and hopefully they'll, I'm not wanting them to go pro or anything. I just want them to play through high school and maybe hit some college. That would be pretty awesome.
Nice. Now, Nate, do you have kids who play sports?
Talk.
Yeah,
sports talk.
Nate,
People
do
are
you have
going to
kids
love
who
it.
play sports, though?
Let me see. Okay, I went through 3 kids that played a shitload of soccer. Excuse my language.
Yep.
So I've been to a lot of that, and that was cool. I would like football, but I doubt any of them are going to play it. I wanted to, which is a whole long story I won't go into, but my mom wouldn't sign the permission slip because she's the devil. But
concussions, bro.
Yeah, so there's that. Now, I'm coaching a robotics team right now, but that's not really sports, but it's good for engineering degrees if they ever go to college. But nobody else would volunteer. We're sitting there at the thing, and believe me, I don't have time for shit. And they were like, we need some coaches. So I was like, all right, fine.
Nice.
If you guys are going to be a bunch of wussies, then I guess I'll do it.
That's kind of awesome.
That's how I started my coaching career. They couldn't
Right.
find anyone, and I was like, all right, I guess I'll be...
Wait.
man.
What are you coaching, though, Derek?
Right now, nothing, but I coached
Okay.
football for
Yeah.
5 years.
Hey, no, I don't have time for anything either, but I wouldn't have to wait for people to not volunteer. I would totally do that. Like, I'll go coach people who aren't my kids for football.
Yeah.
And I'm not even into football leagues or any of that crap, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I like war. I'm a Viking or something.
Nice.
So I
So
would.
Derek, you had hurricanes on Friday. I actually had a bear come to my office on Friday.
That was awesome.
We
I'm
were
jealous.
sitting there eating lunch, and my friend and coworker Jake and Chris, the three of us, we were sitting there just having lunch, chatting, and all of a sudden we discovered in that moment we have an intercom in our building. I didn't know that. There's like 650 employees, and this voice comes over the intercom saying, attention all employees, please do not leave the building. And we thought it's going to be something with a shooter or some kind of bomb threat or something. We thought there was going to be something like that. He said, there's a bear outside the finance entrance, so please stay inside. And we all look at each other, and we could see everyone in all their cubicles around the entire floor just stood up and rushed to the window by the finance side of the building. Of course, because we're all children and we want to see the bear. So we went out there to look, and we found it was a brown bear. They think it was like a year old, 150 pounds or so pretty small compared to what it's going to be, which is kind of terrifying because it looked big to me. And so I was hiding under these bushes down by the garage entrance, and they came, and we watched the wildlife guy come and trank it, and then he fell asleep, and they drug him out of there.
That's
So
pretty cool. So what
Did
saves that?
Did you
I'm
feel
totally-
like you were playing a real life Metal Gear Solid 5? Tracking down the
yes, and I felt like Quiet sniped the bear at distance for me, and I just fultoned that bear out of there. Yeah, I did.
Or Tomb Raider. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
bear? Yeah, but
so
with
I'm,
Tomb Raider, you were not silencing that bear. You were
No.
killing that bear.
Lara
Yeah,
is
you're
pretty heartless. Yeah.
Yeah.
She is.
Yeah, so we're in Colorado, Colorado Springs, right by the Rocky Mountains, and so it's not that surprising to see wildlife, but for a bear to be that far in, like where our office is, it's in a very developed area, so he had to walk through, or she, I'm not sure, this bear had to walk through a few miles of developed residential and commercial areas, so it's really weird that he
That
somehow
is
ended up on
weird.
a
Now,
parking
at my honeymoon, we went hiking, and we ran into black bear cubs, and that was already scary enough that we turned around. But brown bear, even if they're young, that's scarier. Definitely.
Yeah, this thing was big. I mean, 150 pounds. And you saw, I mean, if you guys are friends of mine on Facebook, you saw I posted the picture. That thing
I
walking.
did. Yeah.
Its back, when it's on all fours, its back was almost up to my waist. Like, if you're walking to that entrance.
Yeah.
That was not a small bear, but they called it a small bear. So, whatever. That bear
Because
was
brown bears are revenant size. They're crazy.
Dude, I just watched The Revenant, and so it was terrifying. I had just seen The Revenant a few nights ago. Yeah.
You probably pissed
That
yourself
movie
when the
will
bear showed
scare
up.
you to ever get near a bear.
Oh, my word. That bear attack is crazy. By the way, one more quick thing. Speaking of movies, I just watched Deadpool recently. And speaking of a movie that needs a little censorship, no, I'm just kidding. Don't censor that movie. That movie's amazing.
Okay.
I can't recommend it for everybody. It's definitely not for kids. So those of you listening who are parents, do not let your kids watch this movie. It's got the full gamut of things that make a movie rated R, but it is
It's
hilarious.
pushing
It's
rated R
probably-
to NC-17.
Yes, very
it's
true.
really
Very true.
it's really intense in terms of its content, but it's so funny. It's by far the funniest superhero movie I've ever seen.
I just want to say
Very-
this hand is going to make my dick look huge.
Yeah, when he's growing his hand back. Oh my god.
That's all I'll say.
Dude, Ryan Reynolds is perfect for that role. So, all right. So let's move off of bear and soccer and Ryan Reynolds talk.
Penis jokes.
And yeah, and let's talk about the big games that came out this week. Actually, technically, Gears of War 4 doesn't come out till next week, right?
It's true, but I can't wait to hear Derek talk about it.
Yeah,
so let's talk about Gears of War 4
Tuesday.
first, and then we're going to get into Mafia 3, because I know Nate and I have both played it. Derek's played it at least a little bit, so we can all three chime in on Mafia 3.
True.
Let's start with Gears of War 4 for a couple reasons.
I can't, Derek, he doesn't talk about it. He just plays the damn thing and doesn't talk to it.
Quiet. He's been very quiet about it. But before Derek tells us about Gears of War 4, I do want to say the other night, as both Derek and I mistakenly didn't download our games early enough, we were both complaining about how they're still downloading. So we fired up Gears Ultimate Edition and played a little co-op for about an hour and a half.
You know what though? I did download it early. I put it on my. I'm talking about Gears of War 4, by the way, because Mafia was downloaded and ready to go, but I had Gears of War 4 on my external drive. And because I got a new, let's bring up my baby. There's my baby.
Uh-oh. Yeah, let's see it.
My baby.
Oh, it's pretty. That's almost gorgeous. As pretty as a woman. Actually, it might be as pretty as a woman. Actually.
All right, Derek, hold it up real close. Let's see it.
She's been moved, huh?
She's been moved.
She's off the list. But I'm buying this bad boy a diamond ring. But so I had downloaded it anyways, and so I saw it was on my external, and I was like, well, I want to put it on my internal because I wanted to hook up my external on my Halo 5 Xbox. And I did that, but I didn't do copy, I did move all. And apparently the move all took 50 years because it was still going at like 1 or 2 in the morning, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to wait for this. But anyways, let's talk Gears of War 4. Where am I at right now? I'm in Act 4, Chapter 4. And I'm not going to spoil anything, because even though I know Nate wants me to talk about it, I also don't want to ruin anything for him. But I will.
I'm fine with vague.
I'll give you, I'll stay vague, but I'll give you like my emotions behind how I felt as I was playing it. So you start out with like the prologue, which is kind of like it's not really reliving, because you're playing parts you never played in the previous games, but they're parts I think that we've heard of as players in the story. So you go back and you play as some characters that you know and love, and then some new ones. And they're just small little tidbits. I think they were mainly using it as a way to teach you how to play Gears. So I know how to play Gears, so that wasn't my intent. I just wanted to enjoy it. So the prologue was fine. It was okay. It sets it up. And then you start Act 1 as JD and crew. And it kind of has like almost like an Uncharted vibe, as far as it's very beautiful. Like you're on like a mountainside. It's very green. It's very gorgeous. And you're on your way to basically get something for your camp that you need. And then that's when you come across a bunch of cog bots. So, and again, I'm not going to go into details, but they're all robots. And so the entire first act, I was a little disappointed. Like, I liked what I was doing, and I'm definitely going to go back and play it, because I want to see if I was just unhappy because I was like, bots, even though I knew bots were going to be in the game, or if it really was not as good as I thought it was. So originally I was a bit disappointed with Act 1. I didn't hate it. It's nothing like that. The game plays absolutely amazing. It's 60 frames per second, or if it's not, it feels like 60 frames per second. And it's just gorgeous, and it runs smooth. And so the gameplay is the best I've ever played in a Gears game.
Let's pause for a second before you talk about gameplay. Tell everyone, you just upgraded your screen, right? So tell us about the 4K difference, the HDR difference. What are you seeing there? Yeah,
so I'm now 4K, which no game is native 4K, but it's upscaled 4K with HDR. So Forza Horizon 3 and Gears of War 4 are HDR games, and it's real cool because like when I load those games in, I get like a little pop-up on my screen saying HDR. You know, like basically letting me know you're using HDR right now.
Nice.
Game is gorgeous. And here's the funny thing. I've been playing on like a 20-inch monitor. It's a very nice monitor. It's got a great screen. It's 1080p, 240 refresh rate. So all my games look great. But as I was playing on this 55-inch monster, I realized that the characters on my screen are bigger than my old screen the entire thing. And I was like, man, this is crazy. Yet I'm looking at a better picture. It's more detailed and everything. So absolutely gorgeous. If I am into graphics. I don't require that a game has to be gorgeous for me to love it, but I am a graphics whore, and 4K is what I wanted and it's what I needed, because I love everything about it. But getting back to Gears real quick, and again, I'm not gonna go on too long, but Act 1 was a bit of a disappointment. But then the game goes amazeballs. Act 2, freaking amazing. Act 3, oh my god. Act 4, holy shit. Censor that. I'm just loving it. I don't know how the game's gonna finish, but I'm willing to say if it finishes off strong, and I'm gonna go right back into it. I know I got Mafia 3, and I love Mafia 3, and we'll talk about that in a second. But if Act 5 finishes it off, and I go, I love this game, I'm jumping right back into the campaign. I'll play Mafia 3 on the side, but Gears will be the game that I'm just going to keep repeating and playing Horde mode and things like that. I can't express to you guys, and I know Nate knows because he's played Gears over and over. He knows good Gears games, and he knows how good they are. The gameplay is top-notch, man. It's freaking top-notch. I just have so much fun playing it. There's a reason why it was reviewing well, and I didn't check any of the reviews. I saw some of the scores, but I didn't read them. It's because it's amazing. And so far, the characters are great. I like the story. This isn't a spoiler. Everybody should know this. Old Man Marcus is freaking awesome. I love him. And I didn't love Marcus that much in the original trilogy. I didn't hate him or anything. He's not like my favorite. But he's awesome in this game. I like him as a father. I like who he is. I like that he's not the main dude.
For Nate or for other big Gears fans, what's one or two things, you talk about how the gameplay is better than any other Gears game. What's one or two things that either improved on or added that makes it better? Is there something about the movement, the cover?
Good question. I would say, first of all, 60 frames per second. And again, if I'm wrong about this, because I thought the campaign was locked at 30, but it feels like 60. And I know 60 frames per second. The smoothness of movement, that's top notch. But besides that, there are certain areas, and again, I'll just stay vague, where the weather effects play a part in the gameplay. Those are cool. Like they're doing like little things that are cool. They added it in a couple areas I've played so far where they basically said, here's Horde mode in the campaign. And for some people that might annoy them, but once I got a hang of what I needed to do, it was fun. And I was like, I like Horde mode. So it's cool that they just kind of dab it in there and say, hey, after you finish the campaign, did you like the Horde mode in the campaign? Okay, go play Horde mode. But they just, I can't explain it, man. I love the original Gears. And Gears 2 and 3 are probably 9 out of 10s for me. Gears 1 is a 10 out of 10, and Gears Judgment is probably like an 8. This right now is a 10 out of 10. It's up there with Gears of War, in my opinion. Again,
and how's the story and character development compared to the others? Do you feel like it's
I like these guys better.
Notch? Okay.
I like these guys better. I like this crew better. I love JD. I love Kate. What's the other guy's name? I forget. Dell. I love Dell. Sorry.
You
I forgot
racist
about the
piece
black
of
dude.
shit.
I knew it. I forgot the black guy. I don't care about the black dude.
I'm going to find a picture of Al Sharpton and have him come superimposed over that part.
It's just a coincidence. I'm just giving you shit.
No, they're all great. They're none of them are annoying. There is one character in the beginning of the game that's kind of annoying, but I think that's his job. I think he's supposed to annoy you. And then after that, it's just everybody they bring in and take out. I'm not going to go into details. Boom. They nailed it, dude. This is a 10 out of 10 for me. And like I said, it's subject to change. If I get on the next week's podcast and say, it finished at a 9.2 or a 9, it's because it kind of became
a 9.2.
Yeah. Ooh. But, I'm talking, I had everybody who's been in our group and even heard me on this podcast, this is the most hyped game I've hyped this year.
I was worried you're going to overhype it, yeah.
And I was worried I was going to overhype it, and so I was a little like, especially after I started playing Act 1, I'm like, I even told I was private messaging my boyfriend, Jesse White, and I was like, oh, dude, I don't want to ruin this for you, but I'm a little like upset about this, and it's mainly because of the bots. And I know this is going to be so shallow, but I got to explain it. When I shoot things in Gears, I love watching the violent spraying of blood and exploding parts. When you're shooting robots, you don't get that. And so that was where I was a little upset, because I was like, am I going to be doing this for 5 acts? You know, am I just going to be shooting bots the entire time? And so I was.
You're like, am I playing Recore? What's happening right now?
I completely understand, Derek. Yeah.
There was another Gears style game, Binary or something like that. Binary.
Yeah, I heard of that. Yeah.
It's a lot like Gears, but you're just shooting bots, and it was supposed to be a pretty good game too. I have it on PC, but didn't play it. But yeah, I'm sorry, I did ramble, and everybody who's a Sony pony is gonna be like, Derek, I hate you. But guys, if you own an Xbox One, and I'm talking to you, Tim, don't wait for it to get $20. Go buy the dang thing now. Go get it from Best Buy. You got it 20% off. Go get the $48 copy. And co-op that junk with me, because I will keep playing this game. That is all.
Nate, you getting this game?
Wait, who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm embarrassed I wasn't getting it already on Friday, but with family, my budget has changed a lot. So I had my last hoorah before all that was my Marcus statue from Gears 3. But yeah, I'm embarrassed about that, but I wouldn't be able to afford Mafia 3 otherwise. I'm definitely getting it on Tuesday, and I love Gears, and I'm loving what I'm hearing. Because I have similar tastes to Derek. Like, that would worry me too, about the bots thing. I like that they do a little bit of a change up, but I really love the gore. So
that's one of the things I didn't say is because, and I didn't want to spoil it for people, but I don't think this is really a spoiler. I think it's just preparing any of our, our listeners might listen to it before Tuesday. But if you're the type that's like me, or even like Nate, where you want to play a Gears game and you want to freaking blow crap up and see blood spray and stuff like that, do not be discouraged by Act 1. Enjoy it for what it is, but it's not going to stay like that forever. That's your insight right there. It gets damn good.
It's a setup for the story, probably, I'm guessing. And so that's probably the whole point of that.
And
you're in Act 4 of how many acts? Do you know?
Gears games are usually 5 acts, so I'm counting on it being 5 acts.
Okay, so is that going to be in the? Not that the length of the game matters. It really doesn't. We talked about this before. I think game length can be all over the place and still be good.
I've played the game for 8 hours, and I haven't repeated anything, and I haven't played any multiplayer. So I heard the whole campaign was 8 hours, and I haven't died a lot. Because I don't suck at the game, so
it might be in the 10 to 12 range when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to take me 10 hours to complete this.
That's solid.
Then again, it could be off. Maybe my time's off. Maybe I really have only played it for 6 hours. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
But hey, just to say real quick, it's definitely in my Game of the Year talks.
It sounds like it. Like if the way you just described it, if it weren't, I would be shocked. I'd be like,
the only way is if like they do
really
something
good.
Stupid with the ending or something like that, or if the last act is just boring to play. But I was thinking, I was like, what's my top games so far this year? Like my top 2, and this is no secret, we've talked about this a lot. It's Dark Souls 3 and it's Deus Ex. I know Gears 4 is the fourth Gears game, or technically 5th Gears game, and so it gets a little bit trash because it's like, well, you're just repeating the same thing. But this game is like a refreshing for me. Like it plays so well. How could I ignore it for Game of the Year? It's definitely going to be in.
I mean, I'll be honest. Even if they drop the ball in the ending, even if you don't love the ending of the story, I'd be shocked if it's still not in your Game of the Year conversation, just because from what you're saying, from the gameplay alone, and the presentation alone, like the visuals alone, it would at least be, think about Uncharted fans who played Uncharted 4 and thought, yeah, this is good, but not as good as 2 or 3, but they still love that game, and I'm sure it's going to be in their Game of the Year conversation. So I feel like you still will love Gears of War 4. This is better than
Uncharted 4 for me. I know they're not like directly comparable, even though they're both third-person cover-based style games. But
I don't know.
Different. This is better to me. I can't say it would touch me emotionally.
Wait, are you playing it single player or with somebody?
I'm playing right now solo, but I'm gonna play it again with other people. I was gonna play with Rob, but Rob had the same issues I did. Rob's a funny character.
I love him.
He buys all the greatest things, but it's hard to get him on there to play it. But him and I did not get a chance to play it, so I just decided this would be my solo run through.
Okay.
And then once you and Jesse, by you I mean Nate, screw Tim because he's not loyal.
Right, fuck him. Yeah.
But screw him.
Censor that.
Nate.
I'm sorry, I'm a butthole.
No, I'm actually gonna censor that, and it's gonna freeze up, and you're just gonna hear my voice come in as Derek, like Tim's the best, and then Nate's gonna chime in like, yeah,
if you
he really
do that,
is.
I'm gonna be so happy.
That would be pretty hilarious. But yeah, so when Nate and Jesse get their copies, it sucks that it's only 2-player co-op, just because I would like to play with all 4.
Now wait a minute. Now I agree with you completely. I do, but at the same time, Halo did that thing where they did the 4-player, which is awesome, but they made it where there was no split screen. Now, I understand some people don't care about that, but for me, like, I have a friend that doesn't even have Xbox One for a bunch of reasons that I won't go into, but, like, so I like that. I like that there's something still split screen.
That he can come over and,
Yeah, and maybe if they did 4-player, they would have screwed that up, and that's why they didn't do it.
What I said was 4-player would screw up the frames per second.
Right, and that's a big deal this generation.
Well, it's a big deal to me because I'm telling you, even though I would have loved the 30 frames per second, the quickness of this game is what makes it so damn fun. It's very chaotic, but it's controlled, and I think like I said, I would like 4-player co-op because it would be fun to play with everybody, but 2-player co-op I think is the right business decision to make this game the best.
It's that balance, you know, and
I'm okay with it. And if
I think what you were talking about
was,
I think it goes between 30 and 60. You know, just from your own.
Could be.
You know,
I don't remember. I'll have to look it up, but I remember them saying that maybe it was online that was 30, but I thought I remember when I played the demo, like the online demo or beta, they said online multiplayer would be 60 frames per second.
Yes, that's what I heard too.
Would be locked at 30.
But what does locked mean though? If you guys know better than me, because sometimes I think it means that it's locked as in like it stays at 30.
Yeah.
But sometimes I think it means that locked means it will not go below 30 no matter what, so it fluctuates.
Locked. The terminology locked is locked at 30. It won't go up or down.
Okay.
But there are some games that can go from 30 to 60, and it won't go lower than 30.
Okay.
So that's my
I think
Gears
that's basically
talk.
saying that, hey, you've got consistency with the frame rate. That's basically what the locked at 30 means. That you don't have to worry about.
So let's talk Mafia 3. I can talk about it, but I would rather, since I've talked a lot, pass the buck to Tim and Nate and let you guys talk about Mafia 3.
All right, so Nate, what I thought we could do for this is I'll ask you a couple questions about it. I mean, I've got a lot of thoughts on Mafia 3. I spent a lot of time playing it last night.
Yeah, I still want to hear from you guys too, but yeah, I can
even today, I played it for a little while. When I got the kids to go do something else, I fired it up and played.
I'm wondering how far you guys got it. Now, I know Derek probably didn't get any farther than me. I'm guessing maybe he did, but you might have, Tim, because I've been so busy.
How much have you played? How much have you played so far?
Oh God, I don't know. I would guess 2-3 hours, but
I'm like
maybe
2 or 3 hours in Mafia 3.
Yeah, so we're probably similar. See, the thing is, I'm not even to the part where he gets screwed over. Not to ruin anything for anybody, but obviously it's a revenge story, so something happens. Okay.
They do say that.
Just past the part he got screwed over.
Okay. I was getting really close to that part, but then I had to go on this stupid podcast thing. So.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah.
All right, so I've played more than that. I've probably played closer to the 6 to 7 hour total range.
Nice.
So That's a little farther ahead than that.
Very cool.
But give me your guys. Let's start with Nate. What's your overall feelings about Mafia 3 so far? You already told us it's one of your favorites of the year.
Yeah, so it's pretty.
Give me your overall feelings so far, and also how does it compare to other open world games like this? Like, how are you enjoying it?
Yeah, I absolutely love it. But without going into too much stuff, because I know we only have so much time for this show. It's for me, for any game, okay, there's 2 different things that goes on with me. One is the atmosphere and how it immerses me. And some people will joke about that, mock it and laugh and everything, and that's fine. But it really is about that, whether it's a movie or a book or a game. Like, if it sucks me in, that's a big deal for me. So, are you about to puke, Derek?
No, I'm listening.
I saw his head go down too. I got real concerned. I was like, teeth?
I thought I brought up books and he was gonna puke. So
I do hate books.
No. Anyway, so that's what it's all about, and this very much immerses me.
Yeah, so for people unfamiliar, it's set in the late 60s.
Yes.
And there's actually, because of its kind of documentary film style, where it's interviewing people many years after the fact.
It does jump back and forth.
It uses what looks I think it's a combination of fake and real news clippings. It kind of has that look to it.
Yeah, definitely.
And so it's really cool. It kind of shows things that were happening in terms of, racism, but then it shows some real JFK assassination type clips.
Yeah.
So it kind of jumps around a little bit through some of that. And so there's a priest and there's an FBI guy and then there's another guy who you don't learn who he is till a little bit later.
Okay.
And they're interviewing them for different reasons.
Right.
And they're telling the story of Lincoln Clay, and then it will jump back and you have control of Lincoln, and then you carry out what they talk about, kind of. So it's really well done. And I actually there's a guy that Lincoln teams up with after the big story turn. Mm-hmm. And he's a guy that I didn't know anything about. They don't really explain who he is. But it turns out he's someone from Lincoln's military past, and they have a connection there, which is really cool.
It is very cool, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, my overall feeling is exactly, I'm right in line with what you were saying, Nate, and that is I think the atmosphere is perfect. I love the late 60s New Orleans atmosphere. Mm-hmm. I did, at one point, for probably about 15 minutes, just kind of drove around and explored a little bit. I wanted to see what the bayou was like, went to the swamp areas. And I was also picking up some of the collectibles. As you collect these little wiretaps, you can wiretap these junction boxes in each area of the city, and just like an open world game, the idea is you want to unlock little areas,
right?
That way you can collect everything. And so to do that, you use these wiretaps on junction boxes, and that essentially wiretaps all the phones in that region, and then it will. That's their explanation is now you know where stuff is because you've tapped all the phones, and so then you unlock where enemies are, where you can go and find whatever collectible. And some of the collectibles are not family friendly. I mean, you're collecting either nude paintings, or Playboy are two of the big ones.
That was like that Mafia 2 also, yeah.
Yeah, but they also have some other cool ones that are like album covers, and there was another type of collectible I just discovered, and I'm blanking out what it is. There's album covers, and there's something else, and I apologize, I'm forgetting what it is. But anyway, there are definitely collectibles in this. If you're a big open world fan and that's what you want, then there's plenty of that. There's plenty of side missions. I just ran a few side missions today before jumping on this show here, and basically I was running a bunch of pot. So I was basically helping these guys keep the. I like that the gang that's super racist. The white boys are called the Dixie Mafia or the Dixie Crew or whatever they're called. So they're like super hick racist white boys, and they all have Confederate flags on their trucks and stuff. And
those damn Dukes of Hazzard. I'm sure they're in the KKK for sure.
Yeah. So I'm basically trying to run a bunch of pot behind their backs and make sure they don't find it. But so I've done a few side missions as well. But let me back up for just a quick second. I feel like this game is. It's going to be in my Game of the Year conversation, just like Derek talked about Gears of War 4.
Wow, that's impressive.
But I do think that this game has shortcomings, and so I wanted to talk about that real briefly before I talk about all the things I love about it. This game has some glitches. I've already had 2 missions that I had to load a checkpoint because I got stuck. I got stuck in kind of a loop at the end of the mission. Yeah, so there's...
I hope they have patches. That's not cool.
There's one that both of you must have already played, and that's when you're trying to... You have to go and take out all the Haitians, and once you take them out, then you have to escape from their encampment, and then your buddy drives his car through the fence.
Yeah.
So he drove the car up to the fence, but the fence stopped him, and his car sat there, and he just sat there honking. And so I would walk up to the car. I couldn't get in. It wasn't triggering the cutscene. Nothing was happening.
Which system are you playing on? Not for competition's sake, but just for people knowing to expect it. Okay.
On PS4.
Okay.
And so
I watched one video, like a reviewer, and he had played on PC, Xbox One, and PS4, and he was complaining about crashes across the board. He was pretty mad at the game, though.
Yeah, I haven't had any crashes yet.
Crashes do make me mad.
The PC version does have some issues, I think, more than the consoles. But so I had that, and so of course I was trying everything. I ended up shooting the car. It blew up with my buddy inside.
Wow.
And then I heard my buddy's voice say, "Come on, get in!" And he was like burning, but still sitting there, just chilling, waiting for me to get in the car. So the game was clearly having some issues. So anyway, there's been a few glitches like that, a few AI mistakes, and I'm like, wow, really? Those cops did? Okay, that's their plan to take me out. Okay, they're just walking right into this funnel,
and that breaks the immersion. Absolutely, yeah.
So there are a few AI issues here and there. So it's not a perfect game by any stretch. I'll say the same thing about this as I will The Witcher 3. In a game that big and that vast with this much ambition, I expect those kind of things,
Me
but
too,
it doesn't mean they're not disappointing. I'm
Yep.
still a little disappointed when I see that stuff. I'm like,
Yep.
ugh, I wish this character model looked a little better. I feel like some of the guys in Mafia 3 don't look all that great. Like the lip syncing is pretty good, but not that great. Like to me, it's almost like the best of last generation's facial animations. Like think of something like LA Noire. It looks really great. Or GTA 5 looks really great, but it's not perfect. After seeing some of the newer games, Uncharted 4, for example, and sounds like Gears of War 4, even The Witcher 3 from last year, I thought the facial animations and expressions were brilliant.
Okay.
And I just feel like this time around that's not quite there. But anyway, so there are some flaws, okay? So I'll just get that out of the way. But I think this game plays really great. I changed the driving setting to the realistic setting. I think it's called.
Yeah,
realistic.
me too. Simulation, actually.
Simulation
yeah.
setting, and I love it. I think the cars drive great. They feel like real old heavy vehicles now that I'm driving around.
They are hard to drive, but yeah, if you they feel great if you realize that they're a pain in the ass to drive. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm cool with it, but I understand why people
too.
think it's a pain in the ass because
and I remember playing the old original Mafia game when it's like set back in the
those are
20s
super
or
a pain in the ass to drive.
Yeah, but it felt like that's how it was supposed to feel.
That's
They're
right,
not
that's
very
right.
fast and they don't control very well. They didn't have
No.
power steering back then, so
Right. Yeah.
So, but anyway, this is set in the late '60s, so the cars are much more.
I love muscle
amped up.
cars.
Yeah, so they're pretty great. They're pretty great. So I like the driving. The thing about the shooting, they give you an option right as the game starts, which I think is very smart because some people will play this game who aren't necessarily that interested in a heavy challenge. They just want to play the game, experience the story. So they give you an option on turning off auto aim assist, putting
Right.
it on kind of low, or
Right.
putting it on really high. So basically,
Right.
every time you snap to aim mode, it'll go right to them. So I put mine on low, assuming that, hey, I don't want to be stuck in all these shootouts, because my aim isn't always the best. And to me, that's been fine because it does kind of get you in the general area of the guys, but I still have to do some aiming. I don't know what you guys did for that. Did you turn it all the way off? Because
I'm a butthole because when it came to the driving, I was like simulation, make it really hard. When it came to the shooting, I was like, I'm gonna test it out. Maybe I'll change it eventually, but put it on high. Screw it, man. I just want headshots.
Now, do you feel like you're not doing any work there, or do you feel like you still have to do some aiming for that?
I feel like I still have to do aiming for myself, but it could be different for other people.
It's one of those. It's kind of like Call of Duty, where if you get close enough to where they are,
Absolutely.
it'll snap to them.
That's very true.
So if you do left trigger, it'll snap to them.
Yep.
But if you're still off, let's say the guy's to the right and you have it aimed here and then you hit left trigger, it won't zoom over to it.
No.
It's not like Recore, where Recore literally snaps. It doesn't matter if I'm facing left. If the guy's behind me and I hit left trigger, it's going to snap to the right and grab them.
And it's not auto headshots either, I would imagine. You still have to...
Yeah, it's not auto. So it's basically, if you're pretty close to it, they'll snap to it. And then I did notice in the Haitian part of it, it was snapping to the head a lot. I was like, oh, headshot. But I was also trying to get pretty close to the head before I hit left trigger.
So speaking of the headshots and the violence side of things, what do you guys think about the overall, just the violence of it, the sound effects of it as you stab and shoot people? Has that jumped out at you at all? Because I've been wearing headphones while I'm playing, and I feel like the sound is really sharp and really well done.
I think the game is really good. Gameplay wise, I really liked the feeling I got when I would shoot somebody in the head. I know that sounds psycho, but you would actually see
we all expect
the
that
blood splatter as they drop back. It has good weight. That's what I would say.
Have you done a lot of stealth takedowns, like hiding around a corner, you whistle and a guy comes and you knife him right in the neck and then just grab him by the head and pull him back behind your cover? I was like, that felt awesome. I'm a dude who's angry. This is after the turn, by the way, but I'm a dude who's angry and I am just taking on everybody. And you can see it on Lincoln's face as he's killing these guys. He's like,
See, I haven't gotten far enough in, but so far what I've played, I would say gameplay-wise, I'm talking the firefights, the stealth, the driving. Let me get used to it because so far, and I've played older Mafia games, so I'm aware of the cars and stuff like that, what y'all are talking about.
Right.
But I did feel like the cars were magnets to ram things. I kept driving and I'm thinking I'm driving straight, and then it would just swerve off, and I'm like, what?
Wow.
But overall, what I was trying to get at is I think it's better than Grand Theft Auto 5 when it comes to gameplay. So far. Again, maybe I play a couple more hours, and I'm like, no, this part's pissing me off or whatever. But right
you
now,
mean specifically the
plays,
third-person cover-based shooting stuff? Okay.
The action, the stealth, the shooting mechanics, the weight of it. The only thing that I liked better in Grand Theft Auto 5, and again, they're different because one's set in the 2000s, the other one's in the 60s, is the cars and the driving.
Right.
The driving in Grand Theft Auto is the best I've ever played in. Like
I don't think any other open world game does the driving like GTA does. I agree with you there.
Yeah.
But
no, I do agree, but in my opinion, I want to see what you guys' opinions are. But like, it might be not as good as Grand Theft Auto 5 because of like the time period or whatever. But like, I think it's a lot closer to Grand Theft Auto 5 than a lot of open worlds I play that have cars like Watch Dogs, and I actually liked Watch Dogs.
I like Watch
But
Dogs.
they need to improve the driving big time. I thought it was very go-karty compared to Mafia
Watch
3
Dogs
or
driving
GTA 5.
It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good.
It was a learning curve, you could tell. Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
It was
I
really
would love
arcadey.
it if Rockstar steps up their game with the actual shooting action in their next GTA game. I feel like it's always fun, but everything from the melee to the, I'll put it in quotes, stealth elements in GTA, they're not really that great.
I think it
also
might.
the shooting. I
Because,
hope so.
well, here's the thing. I've read a lot of stuff about this stuff, and all the people, 2K Check and Hangar 13, all these people, they actually were on the crew helping out with certain aspects of Grand Theft Auto 5. So I think because of that, and because it's 2K, that they got a lot of tech. Now, they may not have got a lot of Rockstar like guidance, but I think that this game engine definitely like helped from Rockstar.
It does.
Because it's pretty good.
It does, yep. Well, and so it's kind of cool moving your character around too. Lincoln Clay is a big dude. He's just out of the military. He is a big, bulky dude. He's very spry. Obviously, he can jump and climb and run, but he feels a little heavier. So it's that nice cross between. Think about something like The Order. If you guys played The Order, those characters feel so heavy you can barely move. And then something like Uncharted or even GTA, your characters almost feel feather weight. Like they just feel so light because they can just jump and kind of float. This is in between that. Like I think Lincoln still feels heavy enough that I can do some damage and take some bullets and keep on charging, but also light enough that I can do some jumping around. So I like the way that the game feels, like Derek just said. I like the way that it plays. I love the characters. The writing and the voice acting is just as good as I remembered it from the older Mafia games. It's exactly what I'm looking for with a story like this. I'm not saying it's perfect. There are certain lines and stuff that I feel were just kind of a new version of that Mafia movie we've all seen before, but still very interesting. I think the lead character is interesting. He has a very quick and very strong motivational turn that Derek was talking about at the beginning. There is a big moment that the game goes from, hey, we're teaching you the basics of the game, and it turns into, all right, you now have this motivation to do all this on your own. I don't want to say too much without spoiling it, but you now have this big motivation to take over the city, essentially, and then they kind of set you loose. And I love that. I love that it's more of a motivation than simply, oh, he's a gangster and he's against these other gangsters. Like, it's a really strong one, and I think they do a good job of that. Other thing that's interesting, I don't know what you guys thought about this, but right as the game booted up, this message came up from the people at Hangar 13, and it basically directly addressed the racial tensions from that time. And they said, hey, we recognize that we're going to talk about this stuff. There's going to be language, and there's going to be writing that directly addresses the racism that was going on at this time, because it's a key component of our history, and it makes us sad, but it's also important. We don't want to downplay it, and it's a big part of the story. And I liked that. They were like, hey, just so you guys know, that's a big component here. And right out of the gate, it was a huge component. I mean, by the way, you play a guy, you're not 100% sure yet, at least I'm not, of your heritage. You know that you are at least your mom is African American. You don't know. They kind of say at the beginning, we're not sure who his dad is. We think he might be white. They say that in an interview at the beginning.
Right. Yeah. And
so he's at least mixed, and so he comes from a very unique background, but he's definitely a minority in a very racially tense time. And that comes out right away. The way he's treated, the way he's talked to, the way he can and can't go in certain establishments. It's right out of the gate. And I really like that. Not because I enjoy seeing racism. Okay?
Yes, you do.
Not because I enjoy seeing racism, but because I enjoy seeing dramatic moments in our history being played out. That's why I loved things like Assassin's Creed 3, watching the British versus the Americans and the Native Americans. And I love that kind of stuff. I love seeing the history played out and see what that might have felt like and been like. So that's why I like this so much. I don't know what you guys thought about they're just taking it head on, this whole racial tension part of the game.
I'll respond.
You go first, Eric. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off, but
no, it's fine.
I liked the previous Mafia games, and I really felt like this one was cool because instead of just doing like the cliche like Italian Mafia thing, they went outside of that, which I thought was great. And then to throw in, you're playing basically a black character in a time period when they had some freedoms, but they were still treated completely different and disrespected for the color of their skin. I thought it was taking on something, an issue that was very interesting while still having that mafia vibe to it. The gangs fighting and all this stuff. So I loved it. That's one of the reasons why I'm really excited about the game, and the only reason why I've only put 2 hours into it is because of my love for Gears of War 4. Because I actually played Mafia 3 before Gears of War 4 because I was waiting for Gears. And as soon as I started Mafia 3, I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to play Gears right now. I think I'm going to focus on Mafia, but then things changed. But yeah, it's real good.
Yeah.
Well, and I actually, just as a quick response to what you just said there, I actually think that the Gears of War 4 first choice is a better one, because Mafia 3, I don't know if you got to this point yet, Derek, but once you kind of have that big story turn and a few things happen, they set you up with a couple story moments and missions, and then they really open it up, where you can now pursue your story mission line, or now you've got these side missions you can pursue. And I'll talk about this in a minute. I want Nate to respond to what they've done about the racism side of things. But they also give you several ways to build up what they call your urn with your underbosses, which is really cool. But I'll talk about that in just a minute. So Nate, what was your response? What went through your mind as you saw the message come up at the beginning about how they're going to directly address racism, and then what you've seen so far?
I absolutely loved it, but it was the second time I saw something like that. Not a knock on it, especially since it's the whole race thing, where this wasn't like that. But if you played any of the recent Assassin's Creed games, they've done that. They said that they are from all different religions and stuff like that and everything. And I thought that was really cool. And they went from that spark, which is even more important with this game because of what's going on. But
well, I like that they didn't beat around the bush. They didn't say, "Hey, just so you know, we're all from different races and different backgrounds," like Ubisoft does with Assassin's Creed, which is good because those games typically vilify some sort of religious group or people group of some kind. So I'm glad they do that. But this one directly said, "Hey, listen, this is going to be a lot of white versus black stuff going on."
That's an understatement. So I think they really needed to do that. Although I am glad they did it. I am glad.
Yeah. So there's a few things in this game that have made me go from, hey, this is pretty fun, I like the story, during the whole kind of prelude, the prologue, whatever you want to call it, before the big story turn, kind of really the intro. Before all that, I thought, this is a fun game, I'm going to enjoy this. And then now that it's opened up and they've introduced some of their major gameplay systems, now I'm starting to really, really love it. So we have a few things that I just wanted to talk about, see if you guys knew about it. The number one is wiretapping the junction boxes, which is a creative way to use their minimal technology from back in the day, but also give you an excuse to open up your map, which is kind of interesting. You can, of course, take over rackets, if you guys remember from the other Mafia games, and I think also from the Godfather games from EA. Do you remember that game?
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure you do the same thing, where you're kind of taking over. You're basically attacking a certain area. You're taking over a racket from a lieutenant, that kind of thing. Something similar there. So what happens is I've already recruited my first underboss, so the first person that I'm putting in charge of a certain area of the map, and as I either help them with side missions or I take over additional areas, I can assign it to them, or I can assign it to a different underboss who I will apparently recruit more of those later. And each one that you assign certain areas to, they begin to upgrade and they'll unlock things for you. So maybe they'll unlock some sort of new gun accuracy ability, or maybe they'll give you a new throwable item that distracts enemies or something. So they keep unlocking new things as you give them more territory. And as you give them more territory, they will kick back more money to you. It keeps talking about go get your kickback from so-and-so underboss. So that's how you make money too. So whatever, the higher their earn, the more kickback you get, the more area and territory you give them to control, the more unlocks you get. And then, of course, you can also unlock things from the gunsmith. You can unlock additional ways to upgrade your character, your driving, and your weapons and throwables. So there's a lot of really interesting ways that they've given you some customization. I would not put it anywhere near some games that really have a ton of RPG elements. It's not like that, but there's plenty to unlock for those of you who have that itch.
But the fact that it has that kind of RPG is really cool, because some open world games are very light on that.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's some cool stuff there. I don't know that I'll spend a ton of time doing all of it, but I'm definitely trying a few of them for sure. Let's see. There's one other thing I was going to share that I really enjoyed about the game so far. I wrote down a few notes I wouldn't forget, but now I'm not seeing it. But I will say this. I feel like this is one of those games that has hooked me really early on. And whenever I sit down to play a game, that's the first one. That's my first choice. And it's been a little while since that's been the case. So it's nice to have that. I mean, I'll talk in a few minutes about another one that's done that to me. But I really love having a game that I fire up, and I can't wait to get back to it again. So yeah.
I agree. And one of the things I wanted to say is, like, these two games, and I know I can speak for both you, at least for Mafia 3 and Nate for Gears of War 4, these are two games that I hyped a lot when I try not to hype games, though. And so far, and again, not real far into Mafia 3, but I'm pretty much done with Gears 4, or getting close to it. They've really lived up to my hype. Even though I try not to hype things too much, these games so far have exceeded that. That doesn't mean they're perfect, but they have taken on high expectations and blown me away in some way. And I think that's pretty awesome when we've played so many games in our lifetime, and we're playing so many games now that you can get excited about a game and it still kind of shock you or blow you away with some of the things they do that I didn't see coming. So I'm really excited to jump into Mafia 3 more, but Gears of War 4, man, it's got my hooks, so I'll probably be there for a while.
Nice.
I'm actually trying. I kind of want to close this off so we can just jump back to Gears.
Right.
Shut
All right, well,
it down, Tim.
We actually are wrapping up here in just a minute, but before we do that, there was a conversation I saw. I think it was in another group a little while back that I thought was interesting, so I thought I'd get your guys' take on it, just to kind of close things out. And that is, if you could live in one game world, which would it be? And if you lived in that game world, would you be yourself, or would you embody a character from that world? So we'll start with you, Derek, because I know you already put an answer for this, and then we'll go to you, Nate. So, Derek, if you could live in one game world, you're no longer in the USA, you're no longer in Florida, Hurricane Alley. You now live where?
I'm going into the Witcher universe, and I'm gonna be Geralt.
Which haircut are you gonna have?
I'll probably make him go with this.
Wise choice.
It is. I'll make him more modern.
My guys actually like that somewhat. Yeah, for my girl.
I did change his hair. I don't remember what I did, which hairstyle I chose, but I did change it when I was playing.
The Geralt faux hawk.
It's just when you originally asked this question, I was thinking about it because I didn't just like, oh, The Witcher, boom. I was like, first thing that came to my mind is Dragon Age Inquisition was one of my favorite worlds to be in, but the characters, while they're good, they're not as interesting. See, the thing is I'm not a big fan of games that have you create your own character. I think it's cool and everything, but when it comes to story, I like to play, like, for instance, we're talking about Mafia 3, even Gears of War 4 does this, and The Witcher in particular. I like games where you take over the role of somebody else, and then you become them.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that we might have talked about this before, but that could be an entire show topic. I totally agree. An existing character with personality traits and
that has their own background,
way more interesting.
They have their own relationships.
Way more.
Sounds vague.
Yeah, and so I really liked the Witcher universe, and Geralt got the nod because I liked him as a character. He's not perfect, but I probably in real life, him and I have similar personalities. We're more to ourselves and witty and kind of asshole-ish, and that's kind of how I see myself. So yeah, that's who I want to be.
Nice. All right, Nate, and even if it's a copy, that's all right. But Nate, what's game mode would you
mine's going to be really boring and lame. I like those kind of things. I mean, my gamer tag is Geralt, so I really love Witcher. But when I think about that, like, I go in games for release, okay? Like, to keep me in check. Like, I want to go over and cut people's friggin' heads off and all this awesome, badass stuff, so I don't do it in real life. So those are my favorite games. Those will be my favorite games, but it's hard to pick those as what one I want to live in. So the lameness is if I have to actually live in one of these, like I love the badass stuff, but I don't know if I want to be there forever. So like I'd probably be like Skyrim. They had a DLC where you could build a house and have a family. And so I'd probably do that because I like my wife and kids and everything. But when it comes to my instinct that has to overflow into something, it is fighting demons and cutting shit's heads off and stuff like that. So I'd have to have that, but I don't know if that would be enough. I would still want to have the wife and kids.
And so I guess with Skyrim, for example, you'd be yourself in that. You wouldn't embody a character there.
Because they have that DLC, yes. Yeah.
Nice. All right, that's a good pick. There's a whole bunch of game worlds I think would be fascinating to live in, but the one that comes to mind the most for me, because I'm a big fan of the movies too, would be Star Wars. But I was trying to think which Star Wars game world do I want to live in?
Ooh.
And it's kind of a hard pick, so I think I would go back to the MMO, not the Knights of the Republic. KOTOR is awesome, so maybe that it's kind of in that same time frame, but it would be the Old Republic, the actual MMO.
It's the MMO KOTOR, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so I love that time frame of the Star Wars universe when there's lots of Jedi, lots of Sith, and they're in that big battle together. I just love all the lore that's there. I love the history there, traveling planet to planet. So that's where I would live, and I would just be myself. I would become something, Jedi, Sith, something. I don't know. That's actually one of the only games, Derek, you just mentioned that you prefer not to create a character. You prefer to have a character to embody when you're playing a game. Not even for this hypothetical, but even when you're playing a game. That's one of the few games that did it really well in terms of creating a character. So in Knights of the, not Knights, sorry, I keep saying that. In Star Wars The Old Republic, the MMO game from BioWare, that in that game you create your own character and they tell a story using your character, and I think the way they do the cutscenes, the way that they make your character important and significant and have relationships and have rivalries, they do a good job at making you feel like, yes, you created a character who has weight and value in that world.
And I still love Bastila, just everybody knows. So.
Yeah, well, you should. But that's one of the few games I think that did a good job at saying, hey, create your character. And also, your character's pretty awesome. Like, I liked being that character. But anyway,
you were very awesome, yes.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, we've run out of time here. We were going to cover a few other things, but this is great. This has been good.
Yeah, any extra stuff I'll just do in the
That's right.
group.
That's right. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing a lot about Gears of War 4. I don't know about you, but as someone who owns an Xbox One, has not bought this game yet, I hate to admit this, but Derek kind of has me sold on getting this game. It sounds absolutely amazing.
We all need to go into Horde. Just saying.
Yeah. It sounds so fun. So just the way you're describing it sounds awesome. If you like open world games, if you're a fan of GTA or Watch Dogs or really any kind of open world game, I highly recommend Mafia 3. Now, if you're on a budget or if perhaps you've got other things you're playing, you could totally wait on Mafia 3. It's a great single player experience that you could wait on it. Wait till it's $40 on sale or something.
Yep.
And it's one of those games that you'll be like, wow, I'm glad I got this on sale. So you could also wait on it too. Gears might be one that you want to get sooner because people are playing.
When you play with other people, that changes everything, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and that's one thing I know we're closing up, but I've been playing Gears solo, and I'm having this much fun. I haven't even played with anybody. I think it's going to increase when I start playing with people.
Yeah, Gears is made for that, for sure.
Yeah, totally. All right, well, thanks, Nate, for joining us this week. Appreciate you adding your thoughts. Derek, thanks for taking time and figuring out all your new 4K TV business, whatever you got going on over there.
Yeah, no big deal.
Man.
I gotta reset it back up because of Tim. I hate Tim.
You could have bought your kids a new bunk bed, but instead you bought a 4K TV. You are the worst.
Bunk bed's amazeballs.
Amazeballs.
All right, guys, thanks for listening. We'll see ya.
Who is your daddy? I am the father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?